Welcome to the Boater's Secret Weapon podcast. I'm your host, Captain Matt. This episode is brought to you by enddockingstress.com and boatloanmatch.com. Happy boating.
So you're a recovering CPA. How did you justify the investment in boating and the marina and the gear and the solar panel and the anchor with your CPA brain?
I didn't.
How did you ultimately find me?
Google. I went out there and I said, does anybody training things for how to run a pontoon boat for somebody who knows nothing at all about boating? That's how it started. So
that led you by direction. That's funny.
So a little bit of background there. I'm what I call a recovering CPA. So during my working career, I really didn't spend much time at all on hobbies. I didn't do boating, didn't do any fishing. And so I got ready to retire. And my wife was like, gee, I'd like to have a place down on a lake. All right. Because when she grew up, her family, they had a place up on lake up in Wisconsin. And we said this was right when the COVID issue was hitting. So we took a drive on down through there in Kentucky. We found a lot and built a home down on Kentucky Lake. And well, you build a home on Kentucky Lake, the first thing you say is probably should get a dock. So you get a dock. So then you get a dock. It's like, oh, we probably should get a boat. And she's like, a pontoon boat would be nice just to float around out on the lake. I said, great. I said, now you realize we're both now in our mid 60s and we haven't been on a boat since probably 45 years. And so I was like, I need to figure out first off, where the heck the gas tank is on the dang boat. So
we're starting at basics.
Yes. And so the marina, which is like a mile down from the water level from us, had one of their boats coming off rental. Great. That should be cheap. I didn't want to spend a whole heck of a lot of money on getting the boat if I didn't end up liking it, right? And so called them up and we cut a deal on the boat. So we bought a 21-foot South Bay tri-tip. So it came off the rental part for it and perfect. And first thing the marina said is, where would you like to store it? And I said, can you store it here? And they said, yes. And I said, how do you get the boat in and out? And they said, if you store it here, we could put it in for you and take it out. I said, oh, that'd be great. I said, I don't have to worry about the trailer because it came with the trailer in the purchase. And she says, if you don't take it, you don't need the trailer. So we'll just keep it parked on the trailer in the back. And I said, great. So you'll put it in and take it out for me. I said, and on the trailer, I said, do I ever have to actually see it? And the guy smiled. He goes, we have 40% of our people who have never seen their trailer. I said, I'm going to be one of those people now.
I like that system.
So they go ahead and they winterize it, check it all out. And I would highly recommend that for it, especially if you don't know anything about the boating part. Let somebody who knows what they're doing do it. This worked out really well. One of the first things we did is when we got the thing out, of course, we had friends down and everybody, our friends, they were all great boaters. So, of course, they all told me everything that I needed to know and things to do. But I think maybe 95% of the stuff we incorporated into what we did. So it was good to have people that actually had pontoons, tri-tunes, whatever.
Any really good tips that they shared with you that are worth passing along?
Yes. I think one of the first things they had on that was getting a solar panel for charging the battery. You're out just floating around. He said, because what will happen is, because he said this happened to us, is you'll be out there floating around, you're playing around all day, and all of a sudden your battery's dead. And there's a little bitty solar panel that you can buy, and it's plug it out there, put it out in the sun, charges the battery the whole time while you're there. So we've never lost power. I'm going to credit that to the solar panel. I don't want to try out anything separate. So that was one thing. The other thing I found out after driving around for a while is I kept looking over my shoulder all the time. All right. Because I am going to always be probably one of the slowest boats out there on the lake. I can pretty well guarantee that. So I bought a rear view mirror that just claps onto the rail. And so that worked perfect. All right. So now you can sit there and 90% of the time, there's no need to worry about the rear view mirror. Did not like the depth finder that was on the boat. Way down there at the bottom, it doesn't really see anything. You don't see it. So a friend of mine said, we ought to just go ahead and get a Garmin fish finder. Perfect. So we got that. And then I had the marina put it on because I looked at it and said, I could probably do this with the YouTube. And then I'd go ahead, YouTube, put it on, and then I'd have to take it back to the marina to fix what I tried to do. So I just asked the marina guy, I said, can you just put this on there? And he smiled. He goes, we can do that. We do these.
We got you covered.
So a friend of mine recommended the Garmin that he uses for his fishing. All right. It's got the 360 view kind of a deal for it. And he says, put that on there and it's great. So what we have now is we got the Garmin and then the rear view mirror right off to the right-hand side. Perfect. Very slight glances. And I love the way that the Garmin has the water line.
The topography.
Exactly. And then the rear view mirror right above it. So it's a very easy 1, 2, 3. You're not hunting around for anything, and you can just see it going on it. And they did warn me that the depth finder is in the back of the boat.
Yes.
So the front of the boat's going to hit something shallow before the depth finder knows it's there.
It's
So we probably have had 4 times on the lake. The lake is actually man-made. It's a dammed up Cumberland River. And so it rises and lowers, and we're off one of the eddies on the part for it. And so it gets a little bit lower. So you can be going down there and it's 5, 6 feet. All of a sudden it's a foot.
oh, wow.
Yes, what I said. So twice we hit the issue where it's been a foot. But other than that, the thing has worked out really well. One thing my brother-in-law had asked me to do is get an electric anchor. He said, you'll love it. Great. So he told me which electric anchor he uses on his pontoon boat. We went and we got that. He's ready to install it. Didn't even think about installing it. And the marina guy says, I won't install this unless you come down. I want you to walk through it with me. So we go down there and the guy goes, it doesn't fit on your platform because you have a newer boat and they've narrowed the platform. And he goes, I don't think you're going to like it the way the thing would be installed. He goes, you're not going to want to put it in front of the front door. That makes it inoperable. He goes, so I don't think you want to put it here. We walk around and he goes, in the back of the boat, you don't want to put it by the stairs. He goes, that's just not a good thing. The other side of the boat, he goes, that's where the transponder is for the garment. You don't want to put it there. So can you mount it underneath? He said, you sure can. But he said, it's going to get tangled up all the time. You'll spend more time in the water untangling it. So I said, what you're telling me then is that I bought an anchor that I shouldn't use. He goes, that's what I'm trying to tell you without telling you. So
I'll let you figure that out yourself.
So my brother-in-law gets a brand new anchor. So if he
all along.
If he likes to restore old pontoon boats, they have the wide platform.
The big 4 space up front.
That's perfect. I said, we'll just keep the one where we just drop off with the rope. It's not that hard, not that bad of a thing for it. Let's see here. Oh, yes, the bimini top. I don't know about some of the folks, but when you put that bimini top up, you anchor it in, right? To get those stupid little clips on the side back in, all right, that's harder than heck. What I ended up having was we bought some put together furniture. I said, you these Allen wrenchers, and it has like a little black handle on top of it. All right, those are perfect. You just take that and you slide that in there, and it pops those little tabs. Getting it out. When he has trouble, like squeezing those little things in there, and Allen wrencher company popping right down. And for us, I got 2 of them I keep on the boat now for it. Works perfect to get those little clips.
Oh, interesting.
So I got solar panel, the navigation thing. I think this was on your webcast about Snavvy Navy. All right.
That was in the boot camp.
That was great because I use that all the time. When you're floating on through there and you can click that thing, and we have it anchored to pinpoint for the home. So you know, hey, you want to go home, where the trip is going to be. That thing works perfect. So out there on the lake, as a new boater, every dang cove looks the same.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
So it's
have you been out? And then it's even different. It's like you're on a whole new lake when you go out at night.
So we'll just keep that thing right there, and I pop that in there and say, we want to go back. Where are we at for it? It works out really great for that.
Nice.
Have not yet had to use the jumper cables yet or the charger. Bought the kit there. They had I think it's the same one that you had on the boot camp thing.
The no-go jump pack
thing. So that's there. We make sure we charge it up at the beginning of the year. All right. It's good. Stores there. And the best thing that will be, I'd never take it out of the case.
Yes, that's the best investment. You never have to use it.
So we bought the toolkit, a marine set toolkit. They have pliers and all the stuff for that. That just stays under one of the seats for it with all the ties. I do like the rope tie-off suggestion you had about the 3/4 length of the boat. When we first had the boat, when we bought it, they only had maybe 3-4 foot was the tie-off ropes. So took those off and I put back in those longer. So it's a 15-foot rope now for a 21-foot boat.
21-foot boat.
Yep.
When has that come in handy for you?
Right now, it's when my docking skills are very poor. And so it has been very helpful being able to, when I'm getting off, if I need to move the boat, to slide it manually, move the boat rather than trying to steer it, because sometimes the current down there is really tough. If you've got some rain that is hit, tough for a beginner, probably not for you.
Right.
But it's easy then to use the ropes to straighten out the boat to push it up into the slip that you
get exactly where you need it.
You can't do that with a 4-foot rope when you're trying to get from the back of the boat. So that has helped on it. So I've done a lot of practicing about pulling the thing in, and I have noticed that with the strong current, the ropes definitely help getting the boat into it.
100%.
One thing I had to do though is in one of your exercises, like using the throttle, all right, I had to put duct tape on my throttle. So I marked this was neutral.
Oh, because so now you know exactly where it's at.
Because one of the things I found when I was going out of gear, right, I never got it all the way out of gear and I couldn't tell because it makes no noise. The motor's so quiet. It's like, am I out of gear or in gear? And I couldn't tell. And I was finding out I was still in idle. All right. And there's like, why is this boat still moving? And I'm the captain doggone thing up. The finder had to go get me duct tape to put it on the throttle casing there. So this is where the neutral part is. So there it is. And then you can.
That's a great tip. I like that.
So we fit that. So we basically have tooled around Lake Barkley. So Lake Barkley itself is about a 58,000 acre lake. So it's 134 miles, I think they said, long. So they're not very wide, but they're very long.
Dammed up river.
And this looks like a horseshoe. On the west side is Kentucky Lake, which is the dammed up Tennessee River. It goes up, across, and then down, and the down part on the east side is Lake Barkley, the Cumberland River.
Gotcha.
Cumberland River, you can actually boat all the way down to Clarksville, Tennessee. Haven't done that yet, but our daughter lives down in Clarksville.
It's on the list.
So if you wanted to boat down there, you could do that. And we live in one of the eddies that are off at the top of the Lake Barkley. When you look at it off to the right-hand side, there's a couple of eddies that go off. We're at one of the top eddies that goes off. So we're not on the main channel. So we're off there. So our lake level goes down. By Labor Day, you can't use the boat off our dock. So for September, what we do is we just run a slip for 1 month over at the marina.
Let me ask you a question. So you're a recovering CPA. How did you justify the investment in boating and the marina and the gear and the solar panel and the anchor with your CPA brain?
I didn't. I think this was one where if you're going to sit there at retirement and try to figure out every nickel and dime that you're going to do to have fun, you're wasting your time because you can never justify just having fun. Can you justify spending $30 at go see a movie? There for 2 hours and you're gone. No. So I figured we've got the boat. So my wife wanted to have the boat, be able to tool around. Her only grandson now lives down there. He's 3 years old now in Clarksville. And my son-in-law loves to drive the boat. He has a lot of experience in driving that boat and bigger boats than that. And so it's like, this is not an investment with which you would do for purposes of having a rate of return. This is just something you're going to do. And if you don't like it, you can probably sell the boat for 50, 60 cents on the dollar and you're done.
Exactly. Your exit's going to be bearable.
It's reasonably controlled. So that's why we bought a used boat, buy a new boat. So we kept the investment and everything below a certain level. So all in, we're less than 30,000 all in. And so it's like, that's not a big investment. If you had to get out of it, maybe you could get 15 out of everything, right?
Sure.
So if it only costs you 15, that's like, all right, for us, that's maybe a vacation.
Worst case scenario, I can swallow it and I'm good. Best case is, holy crap, we found something in our retirement that really is going to be enjoyable.
And so I think right now we're edging more toward the enjoyable part and less toward the how do you get the thing going for it?
Good.
So right now it's more going through your exercises. I have tried the spinning. I would say that I have made the mistake on the spinning where I was trying to do it by our dock, which had a higher current. Down, I'm like, this cannot be that hard for it. Looking forward to going up closer to the marina. There's a nice little bay that's off to the right-hand side of it before you cross under. And that seemed to be a little bit more calm. When we go back down for the Labor Day part and that, we'll go out there and practice a little spinning stuff.
So Mark, when did you buy the boat?
2 years ago.
When did you get my program?
That's when we bought the boat.
You got it right away. Gotcha.
So it was like I said, we got the boat, and the first thing I had to figure out was where do you put the gas in? So that basic a question is for it. Because I hadn't been on a boat in probably 45 years. All right. And as you can imagine, as a CPA, I had my checklist.
Sure.
I've got, right? I went on the internet, we got 4 or 5 different checklists of things that you need to have for the boat. Everything from the whistles, like you had in your boot camp, I think it was, all the way through. So we've got all that stuff in there. We bought some extra drink holder cups off the internet that go into the seat.
Perfect.
So everybody's happy with all that for it. We got all the life jackets in there. Realized I don't have kid jackets. Oh, for him though, since he's so young, he's got his Superman floater.
Perfect.
So he doesn't wear a life jacket. He wears the Superman muscles. That works out well for that. So he likes putting that on because he gets the big muscle. So he's happy.
That's great. Anything that surprised you And as you got into boating, that caught you off guard, or you didn't expect?
I didn't expect how difficult it was going to be for me to master going backwards. All right. Because the turning is the opposite with which you want to go. I
Yes.
find myself always not turning the wrong way. And then
That first bump in gear.
And so it's like, doggone it. I didn't realize how much practice it took me to figure out to stop doing it wrong. And that was an issue. And then, like I said, the throttle control, getting it into neutral, all right, because you'd pull it back and I was going by sound. All right. Oh, I don't hear the motor. Oh, I must be in neutral. No,
Yeah.
I was in idle. All right, just going slow. One more click down, then it was neutral. So it took the tape to get me to go down because I was so used to by trying to navigate it by the sound.
In your pod too, that down it's really low on my parents have a South Bay with a Mercury, and that their reverse is really low on the throttle. You don't realize how far down you got to go.
And it was like, man, that was unexpected. And so that was an odd thing to get used to for it. And then the Bimini thing for South Bay, there's not a cheap alternative to get to the front part of the boat to be covered. I guess if you do the South Bay one, they told me you have to buy the unit that will cover the whole boat, and that's expensive. And then I've seen other ones where you can buy the secondary clip-on, secondary market ones. But again, for $700, we're only going to need that when we have lots of family that are down, because me, my wife, and our kids from Clarksville, they are all fit in the back under the standard Bimini. And so I guess that's the CPA in me. I'm not willing to pull the trigger.
It comes out every now and again
for that kind of a kicker for it. The other thing I did is kitty litter, plastic boxes, containers. When they're empty, I use that to put all of the stuff from the boat in those containers so they're waterproof. And so I have one for the first aid kit, the fire extinguisher. We got one for extra towels for cleaning stuff for it. So I've got we've got 4 of them that I utilize for it. And so I found the reason for that was when we didn't have them at first, the water, we get into the things and make it wet.
Everything got all wet.
Everything was always wet for whatever reason. So I figured, why not use these doggone kitty litter? Throwing them away. Everything in, you got a nice sealed container, good handle, they're sturdy, and you store real easy back by the battery compartment. All right. So we got the solar panel that goes in there. And then we've got 3 of those kitty litter ones in there, and one kitty litter up underneath the console that has the first aid kit in it. So
my in-laws have stacks and stacks of those with their cats, the yellow rectangle buckets.
Yes. So we just co-opted them and used them put in there that you want to keep dry.
Well, that's perfect.
And one of the things for the little pop-up console there on the right-hand side there on top there. So that's where we keep some of the whistles in that. Plastic bags. All right. Say it's a little plastic Ziploc bag, put everything in it, put them in there, because no matter what happens, there's water that gets in there.
Everything's going to get wet on a boat.
Nice and dry. Yeah.
That's a great tip. Anything, when you were shopping, anything that you experienced that would be something good for a new boater that's getting into boating for the first time to know? A mistake that you made, something you did that was really helpful, something that gave you the confidence that this is a smart decision to buy this boat?
I did spend time out on the internet looking at different levels of boats. And I would say that for the first time going in, depending on your comfort level with the exit. All right. So when I went in, I assumed that I was going to exit. And that set the nice parameter for what it was we were willing to spend. And then, so from that standpoint, it is making sure the maintenance levels of the boat owner were verifiable, accurate, that you could count on, that they were servicing the engine, that was done. So I was then focused on the marinas for the rental fleet to buy the boats coming off the rental fleet, because my expectation was that they were keeping them repaired, up to date, and ready to go.
100%.
For the rental part. And that took the risk out of an individual buyer who you don't know if they've ever changed the oil in the engine.
Exactly. My parents have a South Bay, like I mentioned. They bought theirs from a rental fleet as well. And I was like, perfect. They're going to change the oil. They're pulling the product. They're doing everything exactly right, because that's their moneymaker. So they got to maintain them really well. They just do it right. They do it to the T. Yeah. I like that.
When we did ours, we bought ours in the fall after the rental season.
Perfect.
When you knew they were going to do the winterizing and they were going to store it. So when we bought it, we said, as part of the price, we want the winterization and the first year storage, just part of the package. And the guy looked at me and he smiled. He goes, we were going to do that anyway, winterize it and store it. So we had to do that anyway. So it's like, for us, it was no real difference in cost, but depending on what you have and where you're at, it could be $1,000.
For sure. Easy. That's a great idea. Getting a boat that's, you have a known history, a better known history than you can with most anything else. That's great.
We did go with all the conditioners for the seats and that and the cleaners. So we've got the standard stuff that went on to the online. We bought for pontoon boat seats. This is the kind of cleaner to do, and don't use harsh chemicals, stuff for that. So that was important because our boat, obviously, because it would have been used, does have wear and tear.
Oh, sure.
So I'm looking at it and I'm saying, I'm not going to buy a new boat. So I'm expecting wear and tear. You're not going to buy a boat coming off a rental fleet that does not have something that needs to be done.
There's a ding or a scratch or something somewhere.
Like they had the back with the thing that floats up over the battery, that pops up at the very back. One of the rocker arms came off, right?
Oh,
that's what, $20 on Amazon.
That's easy fix.
And replace the silly thing for it. Having better expectation that you will be doing something to the boat. Because, my wife's like, what do you mean you got to replace that? I said, it's $20.
We could have paid $60,000 and not had to replace anything, but I like $30,000 to replace a $20 part.
Yeah,
that's math I can get behind.
The deal. So I think that was the biggest thing, was having that level of expectation for it. I don't know about whether or not a trailer with the boat was necessary or not, but I'm assuming that if I did not have the trailer, I would have to be renting a trailer for them to store it on. So eventually you probably were going to want to have the trailer anyway.
And I also think, especially in that price range, you're at the kind of cusp of, it's going to be easier to exit with the trailer. The person buying the $20,000 used pontoon is likely going to trailer it in most parts of the country. So it opens up your exit as well in a year or 10 years, whatever.
As we think, we're going to definitely give it a 5-year run to have a good feel for it. Because we had the unfortunate part where the first year with which we had it, we had a huge rain in Eddyville. Ripped our dock out of its moorings.
Oh, wow.
So it took us a year because of so many docks had to be repaired in that to get the thing repositioned, re-anchored and everything for it. This is actually the first year with which we've had the boat at our dock the whole year. We've had the thing for it. And is that so? At the marina versus a dock at home, I would say I prefer the dock at home from the convenience.
Oh, 100%.
We're not that far from the marina, but still, you get out, you walk down the hill, you're onto the boat. So much nicer to have that than everybody's got to get in the car, drive over to marina and do that. I would say, I think it was a good choice to put the dock in.
For sure.
And so but I do think we're probably odd in the fact that we have the man-made lake that they lower. They lower it, according to the website.
How much does it go up and down? Typically,
probably I think it might be a good 4 feet.
Wow.
As an aside, we made a mistake when we first went in. We bought and put the dock in when the water was up. All right. Didn't realize that they lowered it. So we went back to the Corps of Engineers, which you have to get permission, and asked for a 20-foot extension so we could push it farther out. So instead of our dock
water
today, right now, if we hadn't done that, our dock now would be sitting in the mud.
Oh, wow. That's no good.
So with the extension, we can still use the boat. And the marina swears by the fact that you should be able to use the boat through Labor Day. And so we went ahead and we rented the slip over to marina for September, put it over there for it. And because we'll use it through September. And then in October, we'll go ahead and have them taken out at the end of September and stuff.
So let's talk a little bit about your boating community. So I love to hear about the different lakes and the different places people boat. So you're on Barkley Lake, Kentucky Lake, same body of water, really just a bend in the road, I guess it sounds like. What do you love about it? What's unique about it?
What I like about the lake is that, to me, it's almost 3 separate bodies, because we're off on a little offshoot from it where it's more of they call it the creek part of it, goes on down. And so that one there has a lot better fishing, get wonderful crappie fishing along there for that. And then as you turn around for it, you run into Eddy Bay, where the marina is. And so if you want to go swimming, they've got these nice coves, which are maybe 10, 12 feet deep. And wonderful place to just drop the anchor, have it all set, and then you just spend the time out there swimming for it. And you can tell that's a high usage area because all the boats Sitting around in these.
You have this whole body of water and everybody's in those little coves swimming, hanging out.
Yeah. And then if you want to go out and just take a ride on it, you go out to there and you get into the main channel of Lake Barkley, and that's big enough where you'll see the barges will come through. So it's large.
Okay, commercial traffic.
But you can go north, all right, ever. All right. So if we go north from where we're at, you can bend around and go back down Kentucky Lake. I haven't done that yet, but that's on my bucket list. Or you go south and you have all the shoreline heading down toward Tennessee. Because our lake, when you look at it, it extends from the top. We start in Kentucky and it goes all the way down through Tennessee. Okay. And then it turns into the river where you can take it all into Clarksville if you wanted to. Well, we've went well past the second large eddy, which is a little town called Cadiz, which is 20 miles south of us from that. So we go down through there. And what's been really cool is you go through there and all the little eddies with all the houses, with all the docks, to go through to see, I wonder what kind of boat this guy has. Yeah, you'll see some of the places where they've got airplanes.
The seaplane, sure.
Grandson just thinks that's cool.
Oh, I think that's cool. I'm a 3-year-old when it comes to that stuff. I love it. That's awesome.
So we went through all those in there from all the eddies and all the way up or down through Cadiz and all that part for it. So you get a nice, good view. And the way the thing is, you got the lakes that come around. There's just a huge strip of land in the middle. It's called Land Between the Lakes National Park. So, so there's nothing commercial on that because, of course, it's a park. Then you can go across there. And that was one of the places where we went from 5-foot water to 1-foot water, just like that. It's like, I don't think Kentucky's ever heard of something called dredging.
We're just going to flood it and see what happens. Let it ride.
And so our neighbor, he used to have a smaller pontoon. He didn't like it because he wanted more speed. So he got rid of his pontoon. He bought a 45-footer that he keeps at the marina because it's too big to put in there. But he thought it was funny as heck when I was putting in the docket. And he goes, if you ever really had any real problems, just let me know and I'll put it in for you.
Thanks, buddy. I'm getting it figured out. So we're getting it. So any bars or restaurants on the water that you have on your list of over the next couple summers?
There's, of course, Eddy Creek Marina, which is where we keep the boat, has a restaurant there. And then right up the bend going north, there's Hubie's, HU-BS, Hubie's. Right? Yep. They have a very nice marina up there, and restaurant section for it. And then a little bit further to the west from there is what's called Buzzard Rock Marina. We have been to each of their restaurants by car. I'm not yet worked up the nerve to go ahead to pull in. And I do know the first thing I'm going to ask him is going to be the basic question. Where do you put the boat? Pull into the restaurant. Because a lot of the slips are already taken from people who have rented the slips, right?
Sure.
You got the gas dock. And I'm assuming from watching your stuff there has to be a transient area.
You would think so.
Pull into.
You would think so.
It's a matter of saying, where do you pull it? Right.
When I get there, where do I go? And you have really, it sounds like maybe 100+ miles of lake to explore, maybe even more than that when you go all the way down to Clarksville. That's awesome. Very cool. Any good stories, experiences that you had with the family, with the grandkids, with anybody so far in the 1.5, 2 years of boating that you've been doing so far?
I guess one thing I figured out from the story is brother-in-law who loves the boat, right? And we hit the cove to go swimming. And he puts his life jacket on like shorts.
The butt float.
Into it. So he goes, hey, you can just then bob in the water. Who the heck would have thought of that? What's the way you run the thing for it? So there's little quirky things like that keep popping up about who would have thought that you would have stepped into the life jacket, the boat out there. So they were doing that when we were watching the 4th of July fireworks.
Oh, nice.
Because they have the huge firework display there. And right there is one of these coves where you can just look right over there, and they're just all these boats and all these people just bobbing in the water.
How are they doing that?
I said, all right, that's good. The funniest thing is the grandson, who likes to crawl up on the seat with his dad, as his dad will be driving, right? We'll be driving along, and he's got the horn going, he's driving through there. So he gets the biggest kick out of that, so he'll get out to the boat. Actually, they come up, first thing he walks them through the door is, hi, Grandpa, where's the boat?
He knows what he likes. That's great. There's something about kids and boats that they just can't get enough. And I remember being that kid myself too, way back in the day. So now you got the Best Boat Captain program. Seems like you're still practicing. What are some valuable pieces you got from the whether my channel or the programs that you invested in, whatever? Anything that was really valuable for you?
I think that probably one of the more valuable things that has nothing to do with the boating, and that is the presentation. And that is, it's low key, fun to watch, easy to follow, and you're not like, you're an idiot if you don't know how to do this. So if somebody's like, I'm not quite sure how to get lectured to, that your program was very easy to not be intimidated by something that you have not done. So let's face it, you are driving a big piece of machinery on water.
Yes. There's some variables there to be aware of. And you've got your grandkid and your kids and family and other people around you.
So the tone and the presentation style made it easier, I think, to sit through all the steps. Broke them down in nice chunks that made sense. Or how to use the throttle part for it, in and out of the gear for it. Those things were easy to understand. And you look at it and you say, what the heck are we covering that crap for? How hard can this be to do that? But then you get onto the boat, like I said, and all of a sudden, neutral, I can't find it. Then you can see the difference for it. So it makes sense on that. Now, the spinning thing, I'm still getting the hang of that. And I figure once I get the spinning thing down, then I'll be parking at the restaurant docks.
That predictable pivot, that 360 predictable pivot, when you master that, your confidence goes sky high. Happens every single time.
And I think it was on your, I'm not sure what video series it was in that part for it, but watching out for the other folks and watching out for the jet skis.
Yes.
Right? And at first I was like, that can't be that hard to do that. But then you're out on the lake, on the main body of the lake for that, and these kids are out there on the jet skis. I'm saying they have to be kids because no adult would do that, right? Kids mean anybody 40 and under. And the way that they fly by, you're right. That's why I was saying that's when I got the rear view mirror. Otherwise, I'm just constantly turning around trying to figure out, is there somebody behind it? The rear view mirror, easier to check. But it was the number of people that don't seem to pay attention to what could go wrong.
Yeah.
Right? That was in your series. And I'm like, oh, come on. But you get out there and you definitely see it.
It seems like a free-for-all out here. And then the jet skis are still, and it's one of my biggest fears is that a jet ski's my kids are tubing or wakeboarding, they're going to try to jump our wake while they're coming by. And it's a nonstop lookout for stuff like that to keep your people safe.
That's a big thing on the lake down there is you've got the pontoon boats hauling. You're going to choose behind, pulling them. And no matter what, I think the purpose of hauling them is to try to get them to flip over. I think that they're trying to get them.
They're going all over the place.
Everybody's going to flip over on that thing. And it has to be on purpose. How fast can we get them going so that we can flip them at some point in time? So it's like, this is an expectation I have now when I'm going out there and you're seeing the boats and that they're hauling somebody. So they're going to be in the water before long and they're going to come back and laugh like it was a great thing. So paying attention to where they're at, and obviously with boats anchored, all right, there's got to be a radius around it that you're paying attention to because people are going to be floating around.
Oh, right? For sure. And seeing a head bobbing in the water is not much to see.
And the tow rope, remember to bring a tow rope because while you might not necessarily be towed, you might be coming across somebody, and this has happened. Someone was out with the boat, and because we tell them you can go up there and use the boat anytime you want. So they were out there and they had the boat, and somebody had their pontoon boat and did something, or something happened. It was dead in the water, and so they had to tow them back in. So be aware, have something. We keep a rope on the boat. They will tie them off and tow them out to the marina for it.
That's great.
So stuff like that will happen. And if that's, then depending on your height, of course, right? Setting the seats. So like that throwaway seat or seat that you're supposed to have.
The throw cushion.
Yep. I use that for a booster chair.
Oh, do you really?
I'm like 5'4". So I have everything set up as much as I can.
To get up there.
But so you're not out here to impress anybody. You're out here to have fun. So I use that for the booster seat and hit that.
That's great.
Son-in-law is much taller, so he drops the seat down. He doesn't do that. Oh, good enough.
That's fantastic. I can tell that you are becoming a boater. Just your excitement, your enthusiasm, talking about the good and the bad. The jet skiers and the tubers going crazy, and the time with the family, and just getting out learning new stuff. What is, so far, your favorite memory that you've created on the water?
I think it's the grandson out on the boat, the eyes getting so big when he was able to sit there and driving the boat along there. And his dad was like stop turning. You don't have to turn all the time. Don't quit.
I need to drive this thing. Come on.
Yeah. And he's like, no, you got to turn. But actually, now remember, he is only 3. He's going to turn that thing. So then he's like, so he lets them turn the boat in a circle one time, so that he's happy as heck because he can turn the boat in a circle one time and do that.
Oh, I love it.
Those are the things that I don't know at 3, but hopefully makes an impression on him as he goes forward and gets him and enjoys it. But the funnest part is watching the little one on the boat, having a blast, going back, hitting the horn. All right. He thinks the horn's the greatest thing that he's ever found on the boat.
I promise, as he gets older and older, the fun will just expand, because then he'll be able to start helping a little bit, and he'll be able to start doing some things, and maybe tubing or wakeboarding or something like that, or fishing with you, whatever it is that. Go ahead.
You mentioned that. That was one thing that my brother-in-law told me about the covers. When you go to put the covers on these boats that I hadn't expected. And that was, you got the poles. He goes, don't put the poles in when you put the cover on.
Yeah.
And he said, there's 2 of the snaps on the front gate. He goes, mark them with some kind of identifier. All right. So he said, whenever you unroll it, he said, all you have to do is find out where those 2 snaps go. You never have to sit there and try to figure out how to put the cover.
You just turning that thing around, try this, try that snap. Oh, yes.
That has just saved a tremendous amount of time. So I foolishly shouldn't have done it. I should have used something else, but I took red paint and I squirted on the inside. So, of course, it bleeds through. So don't do that, folks.
But Mark,
that works really good, because pop it in there and you're ready to go. And I know that when I roll mine back, I have to be very careful that I make sure I pull it over the back cover seat in the back, because if you start snapping in too quickly, you got to unsnap it to get the dang thing to be stretched far enough to get over it.
Yeah.
Cautionary part there is mark someplace where you want to start, but make it consistent, whether it's the side door or the front door. He said the front door, because he said if you start there, you can roll the tarp back. You're doing it and snapping it in. He says it's much easier to do that. And
agreed 100%.
I did that. It worked perfect. And every time I rolled it out, it's like, where do you start? Look for the red dots and boom, ready to go.
And then you're off and running. That's great. Mark, any questions you have for me? You've gone through the programs, the boot camp, the best boat captain stuff. You're still progressing through it. Any other questions that you have for me that I could be helpful with?
I guess the only question I would have is on the docking, because we have a U-shaped dock. So I still have a lot of trouble getting that silly thing to be lined up. I don't know if it's just a matter of practice or not, but I did take your advice and open up the front gate.
Good.
And sight
So
through.
you can see better.
But I still have the trouble when I get the front going in, my backsides are constantly moving one way or another. That's why I'm saying sometimes I have to use the rope and we pull it over, because if I can't get that thing in there, when you are pulling it in, is it better to have a little bit more speed going into the U or less speed?
It sounds like you have a little current in your cove, right? So you're going to want to take a little bit more speed. Once you get to the point where you're fairly straight coming in, you're going to stay in gear a little bit longer until you get the front third or so in, and then off that throttle. My other thought is you may be oversteering. So when you're making adjustment, try smaller steering adjustments instead of bigger, because that's going to be a bigger swing. And if you can keep those swings to be small back and forth with just a touch extra speed, not speed coming in, you know how I feel about that. And then make sure when you get that 2/3 of the way in, a little bit of reverse to slow that moment so you don't smack into the front. But I think those 2 things, smaller steering adjustments and a little bit more speed, a little bit more in gear, that could be valuable for you to overcome that current that you have.
I'll do that. I can definitely say I oversteer.
It's a big
one way or the other.
The closer you get to your slip entrance, the mouth of your slip, slow down the big steers into little steers. And I think that'll really make a big difference for you.
Sounds good. All right.
For sure.
Appreciate it.
Any last thoughts that you want to share with the boating community out there watching?
I would say that your program is definitely one that they should consider. All right. I don't know about experienced boaters. Like when you get to the mastering classes, they'll probably make more sense. But I would assume that anybody who is a moderate to beginner is going to learn something from this here, the takeaway that they can utilize. So anything that, to me, that would make your boating experience smoother, it's worth the money for it because you're not there to try to get anxiety over boating. So it's like, just lower it. My wife said, why are you going to do that? I said, look, I use YouTube for everything. All right. If I'm going to go do something, watch a YouTube and figure it out. Why would boating be any different? And your program, like I said, it's very user-friendly, in-your-face kind of deal for that. It's laid back for it, perfect tone, at least what I viewed it. And
Right.
it just, to me, it was definitely something that I would recommend. And I've recommended it out to a number of folks for it. I don't know if any of them bothered. So this makes a lot of sense. And even the experienced pontoon boaters never thought of the 360 turn. And they're like, why would you do that? And so I explained them what you said on the thing for it. And they're like, oh, all right. And so it's like, light bulb goes on. So I'm going to be curious as we talk with them again. Have they ever tried the maneuver? And like I said, once you get it, you tell me once I get it down, it's going to be like the light bulb goes on the items for that. And it's like I said, some of the stuff that you have is basic, but if you've never done it, it's not basic.
Like you said, where's the gas fill? I mean, hey, you're brand new to a whole world of boating that butt floating. You didn't know about butt floating. You didn't know where the gas fill was. Like you can learn the hard way, or hey, somebody help me out. Get me there a little faster, a little easier, a little less stressful.
Like my frame of reference goes back to work I used to do. All right. You always had a 50-50 shot at getting the right answer because it was either a debit or a credit. Well, that's how basic accounting gets. You got a debit or a credit, right? Voting the same way. All right. In gear or out of gear. That's your debit or credit. So it makes sense to me the way the building blocks work because it starts with what's a debit, what's a credit.
That's great. And you're more advanced on top of that. That's an interesting way to look at it. I like that. That's great.
Hopefully I didn't waste your time.
No, this was great. Listen, Mark, boating is something. I went out yesterday and we've been filmed about 10 different videos and I love talking boats. And this is going to be fun, I think, talking to different boaters, learning about different boating styles, different bodies of water. So I appreciate you sharing and thank you for investing in the program and promoting what we're doing here to help other boaters have a more enjoyable time.